record in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Get ready for the storm.
I am the storm.
Welcome to the weekly episode of the Freelancer Codex podcast. Your host, Steven, and co-hosts Mike, Devon, and JD are all set. Join us and tweet your questions at Freelancer Codex. Find us on Facebook at Freelancer Codex, or send emails to freelancercodex@gmail.com. Strap into your javelins and let's drop in.
Welcome, freelancers, to episode 56 of the Freelancer Codex podcast. I am your host, Steve, along with my co-hosts, Michael, Devon, and JD. Guys, this is the longest-running Anthem podcast on the internet that I know of, anyway. And it's been a long time since we've been doing this show. Sometimes it's really hard to do this show, but
sometimes. Hey, has anybody ever tweeted at us? Like questions? Yes. Even though we say tweet us questions. Anybody ever done that for us?
Yeah, I get on the Twitter all the time. I make terrible GIFs. I send them out. People retweet them. So yeah, we get a lot of people. I mean, you obviously are never in the Discord. You're never on the Twitter, responding. I can see how you would miss all that cool stuff.
I've been blocked from the Discord. Devon put a block on me.
It's true.
Oh, is that why you haven't been in there?
That's why.
Let me fix it.
Can you be in the Discord?
You can be in the Discord.
That's weird verbiage that we use. Devon's in it right now. You're not even paying attention. Look at him.
So this is the great start to episode 56. Guys, did you know there's 142 days until the game releases? Did you know that?
142. We did know that, actually. Totally checked. We have a countdown.
Is that like full release or like early release that we're playing?
I'll get there. So it's 142 days until
that's the alpha, right?
Full release, February 22nd. There's 135 days until you can play the game if you get Origin Access Premier on PC, or you can play it for 10 hours if you get EA Access or EA Premier. Is that what it's called? I don't know. There's so many.
So when they say it's a 10-hour demo, does that mean it's the first 10 hours of the game, or you can play
it for 10 hours?
You can play it for 10 hours. Yeah. If you can beat the game in 10 hours, then you can beat the game in 10 hours. So you have 10 hours to play, start to finish, and then once that time is up, whatever is tied to your account, it goes away. I'm sure you could pre-order through Amazon and get another code and make another account and play for another 10 hours, but your progress gets reset. No, your progress does not get reset. The 10 hours...
Well, if you made another account, it would, right?
I mean, yeah, because you're playing under a new account. Yeah. So if you were able to get another 10 hours, you could just... Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, so there's...
I just never thought of it that way is all, and so you just get... It's the whole game for 10 hours. There's your timer, and then you get your 10 hours, and you get to play as much as you can, as long as you can. I guess not even as much as you get to play for 10 hours.
For as long as you can, for 10 hours.
As long as you can for 10 hours.
Exactly.
If you're on a PlayStation, they obviously don't like you and don't want you to play EA games early. So,
but luckily, if you do own a PlayStation, you can get access to the demo on February 1st, which is 121 days. And we don't know how long that demo is going to be, but you will get access. But your progress will not carry over from the demo. So everything is going to get wiped. You're going to have to start all over when the game gets released.
It's always good to wipe. What?
Guys,
we're gonna fire on all the cylinders.
It's a slow news day. It's a slow news day, and we are working hard for you, our faithful listener, the 12 of you that listen. We appreciate you. We're grateful for you. And Steven, I've always wanted to know this about you, Steven, because I have this
Oh, really? Did you?
I did want to know this about you, and Devon and JD also, because this is what I don't know about you guys. So I saw this. I think it was a PlayStation commercial, and the narrator of this commercial, you guys may have seen it. He started talking about this is the greatest season ever, and he started talking about getting into the holiday season and all these games that were gonna get released and all these new things going on. And I guess I understood it, but then it got me to thinking, what is your favorite season? And I thought, well, I'm gonna ask it here as I get to know you. What kind of season are you? Are you a red? Are you a yellow? Are you a blue? So Devon, you seem like you have something to say. You tell us. You tell us what you want.
You can't write anything down, Steven. I told you.
I write everything down.
You write something down, and Mike steals it. All right.
All right, Devon, you tell
What
us.
did I steal?
No, you go ahead, Mike. You lead this. We are behind you. Devon is going to tell us.
No, I asked Devon. What is your
My
seasonal
favorite season is winter.
Okay, Steve, what is your favorite?
No, I like winter, right? Because it's cold. I prefer to be
Would
cold.
you like to expand on it?
Than hot
Because it's cold. Did you
Yes.
just say I like winter because it's cold?
I did.
Supporting detail.
Have you not had a winter in New Mexico?
Yeah.
For those of you who may not have had a winter in New Mexico, our winters in New Mexico get to about 76 degrees.
Have you gotten up at 4 in the morning? Go out in the winter?
No, 4 o'clock doesn't have a morning.
Anthem podcast on the internet.
All right, we are going way sideways here. Okay.
Wow.
So the question was, it wasn't what your favorite season was. It was what's your favorite part about the fall season, since we're in fall.
Okay, now I can tell you my
Well,
story.
I know that was your question. I was asking a question.
Well, you can't just ask a question. You gotta you don't just skip
Yeah.
the question. You gotta do the first question before you move on to the second question.
So, so what's your favorite part of the fall season there, Devon?
My favorite part of fall is obviously the changing colors of the leaves, right? So,
Right.
funny story. Earlier this week, I was working in Telluride, and the guy I was working with, he says, fall is the most depressing season for me. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. I was like, look at all those colors on the leaves and everything. And he's like, it just depresses me. And he told me it depresses him because as a kid, every fall he got shipped off to boarding school. And so he still carries that with him today. He's almost 60. And he's like, yeah, it just depresses me. So,
Seasonal depression is a real thing.
it's
so.
true.
So fall depresses me also. I'm not gonna go there. Never mind. Sorry.
Okay.
You're just gonna boot me. Just kick me out. Just
Go
kick
ahead
me
and
out.
just throw that thing out there, and then don't just tease us with that. Okay, JD.
That's all right.
Paul,
That's
go,
all right.
please. Someone save the show.
Someone say the show.
And you're giving that job to me? Don't you know
You're right.
me?
You're right. Never mind.
He had
Moving
one
on.
chance. One.
No, my
One chance.
favorite part about the fall is the fact that my birthday is in it, and that's about it. Don't like Halloween.
Okay. I don't like Halloween either. Mike, what's your favorite part of fall? Is it football?
So I actually enjoy the colors changing also. I kind of like the harvest season, the harvest kind of theme, and especially moving into Thanksgiving. I know that's like late fall. Moving into Thanksgiving because people seem to tend to care about each other a little bit more, and so that's just a fun time. Fall definitely when I was younger because it meant football, and got to play football, got to be do that whole thing. I would definitely say it's maybe fall probably isn't like my favorite season, just because I actually dislike being a little bit cooler in temperature. I'd rather be warmer than cooler, so that's all.
Fair enough. It's easier to be hotter than it is to be cold. I'm not a huge fan of the fall. My birthday is also in the fall, but it's just muddy. We get a lot of mud out here, and that's just not fun. Anyway, there's probably going to be a lot of mud in Anthem. There's going to be tons of puddles. There's going to be storms, so it's going to create a lot of mud. I bet you're going to get a lot of dirt inside the joints of the javelins. You're probably going to have to clean that out. I don't know what kind of WD-40 they have. Can you produce WD-40 if you don't have microchips? Probably. Maybe you just have to pressure wash some stuff. Fly underneath a waterfall, maybe do that. Guys, this is the fall season. This is probably going to be the biggest fall season for video games that we've seen in a really long time. Some of the biggest video games are going to be releasing. We've got Assassin's Creed, we've got Forza 4, we have Red Dead Redemption that's going to come out. All three games that are big, giant open world games. What other open world game am I missing that's going to be releasing? I know there's another one coming out. Which is it?
Another open world?
Assassin's Creed Odyssey?
I said Assassin's Creed.
He said Assassin's Creed.
Like, it seems like, these giant open world games are going to be the norm. Anthem is also an open world game with some multiplayer content
sprinkled in.
So, I mean, and then February, February we're gonna get the Division 2. We're gonna get that zombie game. Metro, I think, comes out in February.
It's March. Yeah, Metro comes out the same day as Anthem. So does Crackdown 3.
Crackdown 3 is actually coming out?
Yes.
That's if it doesn't get delayed again.
I'll believe it.
It won't get delayed. It's already finished. They're just polishing everything right now.
Okay. Yeah. I'll believe
that when I see it.
So we've got all these open world games coming out. I mean, this is just a huge smorgasbord of open world games. You guys think this isn't really Anthem related. You think you eventually do one thing so much that retro linear style game comes back into vogue just kind of as a novelty? Do you think that's going to happen? We're going to have this weird cycle of every game is going to be open world. I mean, I imagine Halo 6 is probably going to be open world because you can't have all this open worldness and then still rely on that linear level structure.
Progression, linear level.
Tomb Raider just came out, and it's not like super open world. I mean, it's more open world than linear, but it's not the same thing as like Assassin's Creed or, So.
Just an interesting topic as we think of all the open worldness. I mean, Anthem's going to be. It looks like it's the most open world just because you can fly everywhere. It's like being able to get into a jet and fly around. So that's really exciting. So, guys, there's a lot of things. No, there's not a lot of things to talk about right now. Right now, we're kind of in like a content lull. I think the most new thing that we have heard about is we actually have a name for the Dominion head honcho bad guy, and they are calling him the Monitor. So this was confirmed. So Anthem Universe did an interview with John Warner, and they talked about the Monitor. Mike Gamble released a tweet saying that the leader of the Dominion, his name started with a monoto without the R, so people are guessing that's the Monitor. So, and John described it this way. He says the Monitor, it's a he, and it's a boy's name apparently. That he's the leader of the Dominion, and it's an empire built on progression and control. They know what's best, and they want to enforce that on others. So that's kind of the little snippet that we have so far on the Monitor. Pretty interesting name. I guess it's probably like an AI that's just watching over people, monitoring everyone, making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to. And if not, they're going to send out all the other guys to go out there and make sure you're doing what you're supposed to. That's the thought that comes to my mind when we talk about the Monitor. But as you guys have heard the Monitor, I mean, what thoughts, or is there anything that can even be deciphered? Do you think that the Monitor is the actual person that we see in the concept art, looking, with a hand up, and when the storm javelin with the other storms flanking him?
So I think my biggest question on the Monitor was 60 hertz refresh rate or 120.
I was waiting for somebody to make a Monitor.
144.
244. Yeah. So I think in this case, because I know that it seems to be the thing that I did a lot when I was playing games, first getting into it. I would take because a lot of games would use the Monitor, the Stranger, the Traveler, like these nouns for characters that were just, in this case, just nouns. So I don't think this guy watches us. I think he's just, the name is the Monitor.
I mean, the Traveler traveled.
If that makes sense. No, it didn't.
Strange. Well,
the Traveler just sat there, and then it kind of blew up.
Traveler was there.
It had to travel to get there. Right? Yeah. That's why it's called the Traveler.
Well,
I didn't see it happen.
Speaker, I never saw the mouth move.
Anyway, so JD, Devon, comments on the Monitor?
I think that, especially based off of the description that they give, it kind of brings up some ideas of like Loki from the first Avengers movie, where he was very much seeing freedom as something that breeds chaos and something like that, where especially considering that they have described this as very much a superhero style kind of game at its core, it does seem like a very super villain kind of motivation, where it's they want to prevent they want to control everything, they want to ensure order through control, they want to ensure progress through control, they want to weaponize the Anthem of Creation, which also implies that they want to control that as well. So I think it's very interesting to think about how, like, that motivation in terms of the context of them saying that it's a superhero-esque game at its heart. So.
Well, I think John even compared the Monitor's motivations to Thanos, kind of having a vision and believing that your vision is what actually needs to happen despite what other people are saying. So, and he totally spoiled Infinity War, by the way, John. Like, not cool, man. Not cool. But
if you haven't seen it by now,
if you haven't seen it,
spoiler aside, hold on. Devon, you're gonna talk while I turn this thing off because my Discord is going crazy. So, Devon, get your thoughts here while I click a bunch of buttons.
Click the buttons. Yeah. So, regarding whether the Monitor is who we've seen in the concept art or stuff shown, it might be. I'm hoping those are just like, maybe lieutenants or captains or somebody just leading a group from the Dominion. But I wouldn't mind, if it is the actual person that's monitoring the situation. I'm with Mike. I think it's just a name, something to go by. But I'm guessing, they've seen, maybe they call themselves the Monitor or somebody gave that to them because they've watching all the events that are transpiring in the world. And like you said, they have a plan and they think this is the best way to accomplish it and the best way to save the lives of everyone on the planet. And, you got to do it my way and I'll save everyone. It doesn't really work, right? So.
I think one thing that can be really interesting, if we're talking about the Monitor, we know that ciphers, or our best guesstimation is that ciphers can telepathically from their chair watch over their freelancers. Like, I wonder how that's limited. Can a cipher just get in a chair and go and watch anybody and watch everything, or do they have to be specifically tied to a freelancer, something in the suit, some form of connection? Because if you have someone called the Monitor that can sit in an amplifier chair,
Professor X,
Professor X, or we're talking about
Professor X.
Who is it? Is it Lucius? That was from Batman.
Yeah, Lucius Fox.
With all the cell phones.
He had all the cell phones, and he was able to monitor everything.
Whoa! Spoiler.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, if you haven't seen Infinity War, sorry for your spoiler for Batman. So he has the ability to monitor everything by that. So if you have the Monitor in an amplifier chair that's mega amplified, would you be able to actually monitor everyone in the fort? Maybe the fort's protected somehow, and that's why people actually go to the fort, because no one can actually. Maybe there's some sort of
monitor them there.
The fort is just one big tinfoil hat.
Or that structure we saw on top. Maybe it's a signal disruptor, an antenna,
a booster
type thing.
Yeah, we're just like.
Well, but if we're thinking this theory, then it's backwards. Then it's a signal disruptor. So when you go to the fort, you can't be monitored. Air quotes.
That's true.
Yeah. So and that's just kind of things that's all we have to go on is the name, the Monitor. So that's where my mind goes automatically. All right. So
well, see, and I think that's because that's what I said. That's what my mind used to do, is go to like the actual meaning of the word. In this case, I don't think it does. I think it's just that's what they chose. They could have said Cletus or Clive.
Yeah, but it doesn't really have the same impact as the Monitor, right?
You're not scared of a Cletus,
Jeff.
Let's be careful, okay? All right, we're gonna move on before we have to.
Before Mike derails
this again. Okay. So real quick.
Again, I don't derail.
You're usually the derailer. We'll call you the derailer. And it doesn't have anything
to do
with what you do.
It doesn't have anything to do with derailing. It's just my name.
It doesn't have anything to do with derailing.
It's just my name.
Real quick, one thing that I want to talk about. There's been a lot of discussion. Destiny, that's a game that people play. People like. That's fine. They can like it. They released a raid. There's been a lot of talk about the amount of people that were actually able to get raid ready, because Destiny raids, World of Warcraft raids, there's always a race for the world's first. You want to see who the best team is that can figure out the mechanics, figure out the puzzles, be able to do enough damage, be high enough level to min-max your way through there to be the first, because that's one of the prestigious things you do. There's not really like some other PvP. Well, in World of Warcraft there's a PvP leaderboard, not as popular as the PvE stuff, but that's there for players to chase. That's something that raid groups, guilds, they gear up for, they plan for, and they go in, they do these raids. They want to be known as, the team that did
Numero uno.
Which is fine. So in Destiny, they released the raid a week after Forsaken launched. So my question to you guys is, if we are going to have raid style content, they've called it Elder Game content. They said there is going to be something similar. We know that there are leaderboards at the end of content that we're going to be doing to show scores and stuff. So my question to you is, obviously there's going to be teams that want to be worlds first at a lot of this content, right? There's probably going to be people that are going for stronghold scores and whatever the Elder Game is. The Shaper Storms, we know for sure, are one of them. There's going to be teams that want to be first and want to be best at that. So my question to you guys, and I need to know this, because what is the right time to release that content to the players? Because I'm guessing, obviously, day one, we're not going to have access to that stuff, or do you think day one those activities will be open to us? First of all.
So is this one of those instances where everything is available day one, and that could be considered quote unquote fair, because there are no time gates? You can go in it whenever you want. There's nothing holding you back from when you think that you're ready, if that makes sense. If your group thinks that they can be ready day one, go for it, you know. But so let's say you release it 3 weeks later. I'm sure that you were going to have a group that was ready within 2 weeks, right? If 3 weeks is your release time. So I don't know with this formula if there is a right way, a right time to release your Elder content. I guess unless you have to wait, and if you're collecting enough analytics to know that, well, task A and B have to be completed before task C, and our statistics show that 92% of players have finished task A and 76% of players have finished task B. So we're going to go ahead and open it up, because that means that there's enough players who have been through enough content to be quote unquote ready for this content. You know, maybe that's the way to do it, to monitor who's doing what. But I think it makes more sense just to let everything go day one. I would say, I mean, because you're going to get wasted probably in Elder Game content day one if you try to do it without doing everything that you need to before. But I also don't think that people need to be, if you're ready, if your group is ready 3 days in, well, go for it. You know, I guess it doesn't bother me too much that, what am I trying to say here? That those groups who are going to be, who really want to be the number one, the groups who want to be number one are going to find out what they need to do to be number one. And more power to them. Good on you. You know, that's never been one of my desires to be a number one player at a thing, because I'm more of a casual person. So, yeah, let them go. Let them play. Let the boys play. That's a Remember the Titans quote.
All right. So
thanks, Devon. Get us back on track. The derailer strikes again.
So
fine.
yeah, no, it's fine.
It's fine.
So we don't know what kind of content release schedule they're going to have, right? So they've already talked to us about how, you know, it's easier to iterate on story and do other things to release that content. You know, we don't know. I'm sure they'll tell us eventually whether they're going to do small releases, big releases, you know, that kind of stuff. As far as having, you know, the top of the line Elder Game, you know, the end game stuff there day one. I don't really think it needs to be there day one. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, I can see that it's fine if it's there, but then everyone's just going to be in a rush. It's like, all right, we got to rush to get to the end, right? So I mean, that's the problem. We've talked about it before, where it's like, we got to just blow through all this crap to get to the end game, and then we're done. And then it's like, well, now what do we do? You know, it's like, oh, we've spent 60 hours in this first week playing the game to try and get to this, to beat this level, and now we've beat it, and now there's nothing to do. And then we're going to complain, right? So
that's what we do.
Yeah, because that's what we do. So I mean, it's got to be tough for them. I mean, they have to figure out what kind of schedule they're going to do, how they're going to release it to us. I think there should be time. For me personally, I would prefer time, and even possibly events. You know, I mean, they have Shaper Storms and those kind of things, events that they can trigger whenever they feel like, which I think is great. That they can just trigger it, and it's like, oh, this crazy event going on that, you know, was just randomly here, and gives you reason to play on a regular basis. Gives you something to look forward to, but yeah, it's tough. I mean, I don't want it right away, honestly, because I want to be able to take my time, enjoy the game, and not feel like I have to rush through to try and get to that in-game content.
So even if said stronghold is like open, you don't even want it to be open. You want it to be all closed, shut down. The path to get there, even in game, just closed, and then have it open up later versus having it all open and those who want to try go for it.
I mean, I see what Devon is saying though, because I mean the way how it's been done, especially with Destiny, is that you have people rush through it. You know, they go through all the content and everything, and instead of like enjoying the content that's already there and really taking your time with it, enjoying the journey, you have these people that are so focused on being the first to beat the raid or to have their teams raid ready for when it comes out, for when they can grind it and do whatever, that they just power through it all, and they're just all about getting it's all about like the shortest amount of time getting from point A to point B and being raid ready. And I think putting more time between something like a raid and the release of the game, flip those, of course, between the release of the game and then the release of the raid for the players, I think it would be better if there was a larger time gap there, because then it encourages people to take their time. It's not like a week where you have to do like everything in like 7 days just to be ready for something that is going to be dropped. And these people beat it in a few hours anyway, and then they later on complain about a lack of end game content. And it's like, okay, well, what about all the content you did beforehand leading up to this? It's not our fault you just rushed through all that. I mean, it really hurt Destiny 2 that you couldn't replay any of the story missions whenever you wanted to. You had to do it through those meditations. But if you went through and just blasted through the story just to get raid ready, you basically could go back and enjoy none of it after the fact. So,
well, I think from my perspective, and I can see both points of views and why both can work. Why having everything open in the beginning is fine, and why gating some of the stuff. So my thought is, like, there are a group of people that, you know what, being first is the game to them, and that's the way they play. Mm-hmm. And that's fine, because I'm not going to tell people, this is how you should.
Yeah, that doesn't hurt anybody. Yeah, that doesn't hurt anybody. Let them go for it.
So my view is, you release the game. We don't even know if their end game content is going to be anything similar to this, right? But you release your game, you let people play it. You release and this is hard, because these are some of the analytics that Mike was talking about. How long do people actually stay in your game, stay active, before they fall off if there's nothing new, right? We know it's pretty short right now. There's a lot of people playing the most popular game in the world right now, Fortnite, that is a get in, get out experience that is so fast that kids nowadays, they know that, hey, I can go play a match, I can be in for 5 minutes, I can die, I can get out, and I can start over. So the attention span there for the most popular games is very short. Same with PUBG. It's a little bit longer just because PUBG is longer. But for a game like Anthem, it's like, what, you want me to spend 40 hours playing the game before I can get to this content? There's kind of a shift. It's, comparing apples to oranges, but, those are some of the things that people have to consider. So in my perfect world, you release the game on February 22nd. And then what's the month after February? March?
Yeah.
So March 22nd, you release, this is our big content. That gives people a month to get ready for this. That, you know what? In Destiny, you had like 2,000 people or 2,000 teams actually able to enter the raid and be raid ready a week after. So you're already in a small group of people. If you were to wait and let other people that, work full-time jobs or have, heaven forbid that there's like, a funeral or a wedding that's going on in that time, that you're completely out of that race because you don't have the time to grind, you give people a month. How many more people are in that race now? And guess what? Those people that were in the top when it was a short window, they probably rise to the top anyway, right? Because those are the people, those are the teams that are dedicated to do it anyway. But you put it out a month, you have a bigger pool of people in that race. And one of the big things about games like this is feeling like you were there when this thing happened. You were there when the Shaper Storm,
being part of the experience.
You were there when 2 Titans came down at the same time. while you were trying to finish a stronghold. And those are those water cooler moments that, you know, they're talking about. Those are those Anthem moments that they have when they do Anthem Fridays, is trying to encourage these kinds of moments. But if you gate that and you don't allow a lot of people to be high enough level to even participate, depending on what that is, we don't know, you know, how their seasons are going to apply to that. But if you give people a chance to actually participate by prolonging that time period of getting ready, I think in the long run, it's more beneficial, because instead of having 2,000 people talk about that one moment in that raid, you have 120,000 people talking about that one moment. So that's my argument for putting that Elder Game content a little farther out, because we know we're going to have the strongholds. Those will be there. We know the story is going to be there. We know the grinding for new gear is going to be there. So hopefully there's not this lack of content. And that's another thing that, you know, had a couple games that were holding themselves back, is there wasn't a lot of content anyway. So that end game content was the goal, because there was nothing else in the game. You take a game like World of Warcraft, where you have an overabundance of content, you know, you don't have that problem.
Yeah.
So,
or if it's like, you know, because they take a lot of stuff from Diablo, where it's like, okay, here's what you have. I mean, they're going to have the content, and then if they have seasons, you know, they can have different stuff, but it can, where they have, you know, right now the new season for Diablo, it's like, okay, we're playing the same stuff over and over, but I mean, there's slight differences in the rifts and stuff that we're doing, but it's all about seeing how high of difficulty you can push. You know, I mean, they've talked about those Anthem Fridays, you know, those moments with playing through a stronghold on a, you know, what was it, veteran? Was it did Mike say it was veteran difficulty, or
veteran? Yes.
Yeah, and that's not even like close to the top tier or whatever he said, and so it's like, it could be they have other content or other ways to play it, where it's like, okay, you need to keep farming, you need to keep, you know, pushing your gear to higher levels so you can progress through the higher levels of difficulty, and that's really like the thing that you chase, like especially for, you know, with Diablo, it's all about chasing how hard of a difficulty can I beat. You know, I'm playing through the same content, I'm min-maxing my gear, my weapons and everything to create the best possible opportunity for me to beat the hardest content, and just doing that repeatedly over and over again. So
yeah, and I think if they do have seasons like Diablo does, then that also gives you more opportunities for those races, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just being world's first, Shaper Storm 1, you know, that's going to happen. That's going to reoccur at each season. So it gives people an opportunity to hit that race. You know, hey, our team was there season 4. We were world's first in this Shaper Storm, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
So it just makes it so it's not just because you hit world's first in another game. It's like, that was it. You're world's first, and that's that. You know, there's no other opportunities to race until a new stronghold or a new raid gets released. So, so I can see it both ways. So, Mike, have I totally changed your mind, and now you believe the way I'm totally laying this down?
Nope.
Perfect. I knew it was.
I don't.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't.
Right. Now,
Because then what? Yeah. Well, it's just two sides of a coin, right? There's those players who are gonna say, no, there's too much time in between raid release and game release. And then there's going to be those players that say there's not enough time between raid release and game release. And it really does all go back to, when do you play? How often do you play? What is your ultimate goal? If you want to be number one, it doesn't matter. Like you said, if you want to be a number one, if that's what your goal is, then you'll do whatever you need to do to become that number one. And for those casual gamers who are just happen to be ready because it's time gated, you know, they may not. I mean, it may take them, you know, 28 hours to do the raid versus the 16 that you know the first team does. So I mean, it's half of one, 6 dozen of the other. I can see and understand both viewpoints. And like I said, because I'm not part of the group that really wants to be number one, I'm okay with everything being open right at the beginning. You know, and I might even go jump in with my level 2 character and just test out the raid just to see exactly what it's like. I mean, I'll get wasted by the first rock, you know, a wall or something.
That's not the answer. Like, getting wasted is not what you.
Sometimes you just got to get wasted.
I think you really have to focus on the hardcore players, but you also have to let the casual players think that they're hardcore players, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, totally.
So
that's how Devon makes it.
So I talked a lot. Sorry, I talked way too much.
You talk way too much. I want to talk more about the seasons. I like summer.
Are you done? That was it. I was going to let you go, but
I'm still waiting for him to explain.
No, I'm good. Devon gave me the look. He sent me a text and told me to raise my hand high above my head.
All right, I want to know now, guys. Like, since we're 142 days away, we've been doing this podcast for a little over a year. We're doing this with like zero information anyway. Like, knowing what we know now, like from before, what excites you now about Anthem compared to what excited you before? JD, we'll start with you since we just talked over you the whole time last time. So. But keep it short.
For me, it's all about seeing how it comes together. At this point, we've seen so many intriguing and interesting aspects, especially when it comes to how they're going to present the story this time around, the gameplay that we've seen, some of the characters that we've seen, the mystery of some of the lore, the idea behind a lot of the activities. They all have like really cool ideas to them. Even the javelins are so cool that it's hard to just pick one. But oh man, I am so excited to see it finally come together in the final game. That's what I am most excited to see. I want to see how everything ties together.
JD, did you just give a non-answer? Is that what that was?
I want to see the execution.
Everything.
I want to see the execution.
You just want to see the end product, is what you want.
Yes.
The execution.
Okay.
That's an answer.
Fair enough. That's an answer. That was
Marie Antoinette.
That was a very what? That was a very political.
Didn't she get executed?
Yeah, Devon, save me, please.
Wasn't she one of the Musketeers?
Yeah.
Back to the Anthem question. Here. So what excites me most is
staying on topic.
Simmer down.
Staying on topic.
I
love staying on topic. I don't like being derailed. I'm the railer. That's a weird. That's a weird.
Don't call him the
railer. Oh my gosh.
Will you please go change your gamer tag to the railer?
It's probably not allowed. All right, carry on, Devon.
Stop talking. Oh man. Yeah. So
I'm gonna play this music. We're gonna exit.
I am most excited. What excites me most about Anthem right now is the possibilities for like the Interceptor and Storm. I mean, we don't really know too much about them. We know some, right? They're giving us a little more information every now and then. But ever since they first showed off the Interceptor, it was, looked like a javelin I wanted to play. So I'm excited for the possibilities.
Very cool. I am excited to see more of the actual world because I think the art design is really cool. I like the environments that we've seen so far, so I want to see more of that. So that's what I'm most excited for. The world looks really cool. Javelins are cool, but for me, the world looks pretty awesome. All that rock placement. That's what it's all about. And I definitely want to see where the lava's at. There's got to be like snow, right? There's got to be snow somewhere on this planet. Hopefully there is.
It'll be the expansion.
Yeah. Which is fine because it's going to be free and we don't have to pay for future DLC. So I'm okay with that. Hey, not segregating your player base, great idea to me. So, guys, I think that is all that we have. Unless you guys had something you've been like holding back this whole time that you really want to talk about right now.
Devon looks like he's about to explode. He's got something on his mind.
You are my very favorite people. And
throw it to Devon. See what he has to say.
There's a Shaper Storm coming, and
I think that's my line. Hey guys,
Devon's done.
I think I'm done too. No, I'm not done. This has been episode 56 of the Freelancer Codex podcast, the longest running Anthem podcast on the internet. Surprisingly, it's still running.
What was it?
With the four of us. You guys, I can't even. All right, I'm going to play some music here. That's going to tell us that the show is over. You know what we should do? I have an idea. How about for episode 57, we actually have a professional show. We'll have John on, John Warner. He's the guy that does stuff with this game that we talk about. So he'll be here.
Does he do stuff?
Him questions. We'll ask him questions about Anthem, and then we'll like bring back all of our credibility. And then if we have John on, we will be we'll be a credible source for all things Anthem.
No, not credible.
We'll have like a committee vote. Anyone in the negative, the affirmative, I'll say aye. All right,
Hail Mary to me.
All right, we'll see if we can get John on. In fact, I'll shoot him a text now. Guys, there's a safer storm on the horizon. And I think we might see you on the other side. I don't know. After episode 56, this train wreck, we might just stop doing this altogether. But
no, we'll be back next week.
Okay, we will be back. Devon is to convince us. We'll be back next week.
You can find us on Twitter, Codex, on Facebook, Freelancer Codex, or through email at freelancercodex@gmail.com.
Got to start recording earlier.
freelancercodex.com.
We'll record early next week.
Our show will always be free. But if you'd like to send some support, you may do so at patreon.com/freelancercodex. Our individual Twitter handles are at Stephen Lamson, at Lamson25,
Mike won't answer.
At Neverfear, and at JD the Joke Dealer. Freelancers.
But feel free to tweet at him all the time.
That's my swearing budget. Mine.
Hey, she was bleeped out. That's all right.
Probably could bleep me out.